I think Kool-Aid, the question with Kool-Aid is I understand is how fast he is. He didn't have a lot of tape. They didn't throw at him, right? Terrion has everything. Of course, when you look at him, size, and he's going to interview out, he's going to interview off the charts. Kool-Aid will as well. He's a great personality too, but Arnold's got that almost, the NFL loves that upside. Kool-Aid's kind of is what he is, which is a really good player. Nothing wrong with that. But Arnold, you keep thinking possibly can get even better, which is big. I believe the ascent's real. That was the talk early on. It was hard at the time because nobody really could imagine Kool-Aid not going ahead of him. But again, I don't think it's anything about Kool-Aid. I mean, you saw him this year. He's a very good football player, did what he had to do. He's a good cover guy and all that. But testing-wise, I think Arnold's going to be really good testing. I'm not so sure. I thought Kool-Aid ran well, but I've heard a few NFL guys have made me question how well. And, the difference between 4.43 and 4.51 with them is the difference in drafting the corner. So curious from that aspect. But I believe Arnold. And, again, all these guys, the Bama guys will interview well. They're going to have film. Kool-Aid, oddly enough, will have the least amount of film. I just don't feel like he was challenged that much this year. Kind of reminds me of Pat Surtain. Was that his sophomore year? Like, I don't know if I saw Pat on the field. I don't remember a single. I don't remember one year. I don't remember single play.
I think in 18 you started the season, Jimmy, with Surtain and Diggs as your corners, and then Trayvon got hurt in Arkansas, and then you were Savion and those guys. Kind of piecemealing it through the rest of the season. But Jimmy, I guess for Terrion, my thought process, I don't know about yours, as the season progressed, was he's also showing these teams he can play more than one spot, man. His positional versatility, corner obviously is where it starts. That's where the value, if you're a lockdown corner, you don't have to play anywhere else. But Terrion was afforded that opportunity, man. He took advantage of it.
Yeah, I think his move to nickel corner when he started playing that star position some of the time, and he wasn't exclusively playing just the outside cornerback spot, I think that's sort of also when the NFL ascent started, because you see so much more of a skill level there. You see when they're playing inside, you get to see so much more than just the cover skill. You see the playmaking part. You see the run support part. You see him cover more than just outside receivers. You see him make plays. And Kool-Aid wasn't really afforded that, especially when you're playing outside corner and you're not challenged. I mean, what tape is there? I mean, like that 2018 season, Travis, that you're talking about. I mean, who in their right mind would throw at Surtain when Savion Smith's on the other side? And I know that's a little rude, but Savion's probably not listening. But, I mean, who's going to throw at Surtain when Savion's on the other side? Alabama had a great benefit of when you had Terrion and Kool-Aid, sort of a pick your poison type of situation. But Terrion ended up moving inside some, playing star some, and I think that's when it really took off. I completely expect Terrion to be drafted ahead of Kool-Aid. And, my favorite draft guy that I watch I watch a lot of them all the time. My favorite's Daniel Jeremiah with NFL Network. When he said a few weeks ago that Terrion could go as high as 5th.
Yeah.
I mean, that got my attention quick, because we know there's going to be quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3, and then probably Marvin Harrison 4. And it immediately came to mind when he said that. I'm like, he says Terrion might be the first defender taken in this draft.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew, like, Terrion's a thing in this draft. And I think it's great. He's a super kid.
So if I go 3.5 for the over-under for Alabama first rounders as we sit here today, knowing that, you're talking J.C. Latham, you're talking Dallas Turner, you're talking Terrion, is Kool-Aid still a first-round guy? What about Chris Braswell? Would you guys go over or under the 3.5 right now, Tim? You crank us up.
I would go over, because I think you've got 3 locks. I don't think there's any way Dallas or JC or Arnold fall out of that first round. I also think you got enough potential there. You got guys like Barmore, who almost, Barmore's a guy similar to Braswell. He tests well. Coaches sign off on him. He's an upside guy. There's not a lot of wear and tear there. He's a guy that can slide into. And, of course, Kool-Aid. I think, that's the one thing why the teams drafting in those bottom 6 spots are always drafting in the bottom 6 spots, because they're good. And they don't need the sexy flash that some of the other guys do. They just go and they get their guy that fills in right away, you get 3 to 4 years out of him, worst case scenario, which in the NFL is huge because you have so many busts. So I think that Alabama will have another guy drafted in that range. But I do think Kool-Aid could fall in the second round. And the thing about the second round, we've seen a lot of guys, some of Bama's best football players have fallen in that second round, right? We saw Xavier McKinney. You still can't explain that to me.
He was Brian Branch last year.
Brian Branch. They were Xavier McKinney, Brian Branch. You know why? Because they didn't run, they didn't run as fast as other guys. They wouldn't, but you know what? They're football players. They know what they're doing. They understand. They were instant impact guys. Both of them had big years. So yeah, that second round, it's not hard to fall into it. But they lose that year of control when they do. So there's a lot of things being factored in. Also, I think we're going to see like 20 quarterbacks eventually in the first round. And I'm going to tell you who I blame. I blame Pat Mahomes and Mitch Trubisky, because Mitch Trubisky screwed it up, and now everybody is worried to death about Mitch. I mean, Pat Mahomes went 10th, and Deshaun Watson went 11th or 12th, right?
Yeah.
Mitch Trubisky was second. I don't think there was another quarterback taken.
My Jags took Leonard Fournette.
I said that this morning on the round table. They're like, the Bears should be embarrassed. I said, the Bears, he went 10th. The Jets were up there. The Jags were up there. There's a lot of guys that don't have a quarterback.
We've got Blake Bortles. We're good. No, we're good.
They're locked in. So I do think the more quarterbacks you see, because a lot of these guys would not be I love Jaden Daniels. I'm a big fan of his. I don't think he'd be a possible number 3 pick, 5 years ago. I think he would fall in that 10, 12, 15 range. But then again, everything's been pushed up, and now they're mentioning guys like Bo Nix, Michael Penn. There's so many guys.
Spencer Rattler's going to make a run. Watch Spencer Rattler. He's going to make a run, Jimmy.
They get desperate. I mean, remember the reaction when the Eagles took Jalen Hurts in the second round, which surprised a lot of people, because they had like what it looked like a franchise quarterback at the time. So these guys are not going to mess around. So what I'm saying is a lot of talented guys will fall in that second round, who'll be really good football players, who'll get that huge second contract. So if that's Braswell or Kool-Aid, I still think they're going to be fine.
So, Jimmy, you going over the 3.5?
Yeah, exactly. Tim's thinking on that exactly. The first 3 guys feel like locks, and then it's over because probably Kool-Aid or Braz or both, but probably one of them still sticks in the first round. Kool-Aid, to me, it's all about that 40 time, and which is kind of outrageous, as Tim's pointing out. I mean, look how good McKinney and Branch are in the NFL, and they probably are in the second round because of their 40 times. And Kool-Aid could do the same thing. I bet this has been said in these front office rooms, these scouting rooms in the NFL. I'm sure it's been said as they watch Kool-Aid's tape. Somebody in the room says, if that guy can run, he's the best corner in this draft. Well, can he run? I guess we're going to find out. I mean, that I'm sure has been said, because Kool-Aid's man skills and his physicality and the way he's built. I mean, ball skills are pretty good too, right? Basketball player. Yeah. Kool-Aid's like off the charts with the question about the speed. And, if he runs in the 4.4s, first round pick. If he runs in the 4.5s, probably a first round pick. If he hits 4.60, he's going to go in the second round no matter what the rest of the skill level says. That's what the history of the NFL draft tells us. But Kool-Aid's a steal in my mind in that second round. I don't care what his 40 time is, but I'll go over, but I'll be nervous about it because I'm not sure on McKinstry and Braz. But what I am sure about is if they're picked in the second round, someone's getting quality players there.
The V word, value, for sure. Hey, want to remind you, if you haven't already, subscribe to the BamaOnLine YouTube channel. Simple as a click. Hit that like button. Turn on those notifications as well. You'll get all of our video content as it drops right here on the YouTube home for BOL. And, of course, you want to join us right there at BamaOnline.com.